I'm going to spend a whole show on soccer. Nobody cares about soccer. Let's just admit that, right? Yeah,
I disagree. I disagree. People care. They just don't know it yet.
they don't. And some people do. I have people all the time that are emailing me. I don't want them to email me, but they do, and they'll say, Jack, I used to not be a soccer fan at all. I'm loving soccer. No, you're really not loving soccer. Probably you're just loving the money you're making from soccer. People are making a lot of money from
It's like
soccer.
a sugar daddy. You don't really love him. You just love what they
You
give
just love what he provides. Exactly. And so that's probably what soccer is for most people. Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's March, almost March. We're springing into profit right now. Great time to get signed up at fatjacksports.com. There's, of course, basketball. Soccer's going great. UFC, baseball's around the corner, and much, much more. Lots of ways to make money, lots of ways to build profit before we get to football season, and that's really the name of the game here as we're into March and spring and all those type things. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's get you into some profit. Let's get you signed up. Let's get you some free winners and much more. Thank you for joining us during this hour. Mr. Brandon Rush, how are you, Brandon?
It feels weird to consider this the off season, considering everything you just laid out. I mean, we still got March Madness to come. Spring training means the opening day of baseball, which means the Masters isn't far away, and we're under 8 weeks away from the Derby. So, I mean, this is a profitable time, but at the same time, because there isn't football going on, I find myself kind of doing weird things on Sundays. Jack, I painted this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that. That was actually very nice. Was it paint by numbers? What was it?
It was, yeah. It was a little dinky, like $7 find at Hobby Lobby, but I literally spent 6 hours painting this little French bulldog thing that was kind of fun. But this is the things you do in the off season when you're not completely plugged in and glued to your TV watching football. Granted, watching a lot of basketball, watching hockey, watching a lot of soccer, and watching profit come in. So
yeah, it's fun. One of those times, and you're not alone. I think most people around the country, there are people that will debate right now, is this the worst time in sports of the entire year? We talk about the best being, for me, it probably is sometime in October when you're knee-deep in football. You've got basketball coming, or you have World Series type stuff around the corner right there. Breeders' Cup is there. Yeah. So there's lots of things. That's probably the best for me. But without baseball, especially if you're not a college basketball fan, because you got the NBA, but they're kind of in that kind of grind toward the playoffs. College basketball really is driving the day as far as a watchability type thing, for me at least. And so, if you're not into that, it becomes a tougher time as far as finding what you're going to do. The great news for us at the service is that we've added soccer. And I'm going to spend a whole show on soccer. Nobody cares about soccer. Let's just admit that, right? Yeah,
I disagree. I disagree. People care. They just don't know it yet.
They don't. And some people do. I have people all the time that are emailing me. I don't want them to email me, but they do, and they'll say, Jack, I used to not be a soccer fan at all. I'm loving soccer. No, you're really not loving soccer. Probably you're just loving the money you're making from soccer. People are making a lot of money from soccer.
It's like a sugar daddy. You don't really love him. You just love what they give.
You just love what he provides. Exactly. And so that's probably what soccer is for most people. If and when we've had 3 losing weeks in soccer since June. Think about that, Brandon. 3 actual losing weeks since June. Just so good. 4-2 again last week. 5-1 with 6 profitable, 6 units the week before that. Well, the week before that. The week before that. I mean, they're just consistently winning money, the soccer plays. And so that's been nice getting us through this, especially when you consider, I always try to look at last week, that our basketball's not been going great. I mean, we have not been doing well. And the funny thing about it is we talked last week a little bit about that I had got some horrible luck. I mean, it was one of those, we were 0-8 in games. Going back, it was 0-6 that week, but 0-8 if you go back. In games decided in the last 8 seconds, meaning we had 8 games decided in the last 8 seconds and lost every single one of them. And so that kind of turned what would have been a really pretty good profitable week, even we just go 4-4 on those late games, which are total luck. I mean, that's luck. Good luck, bad luck, it's luck. When you win or lose a play in the last 8 seconds, it's luck. You're either winning because you're lucky or you're losing because you're lucky, or unlucky. And so when you lose those 0-8, you're going to lose. That's going to be a losing week. No big deal. These are the reasons why I charge so much less for basketball. People will say, why do you charge less for basketball? Are you not any good at basketball? No, that's not it at all. I charge less for basketball because the variance in basketball, meaning the amount of games that are determined by luck, are higher, obviously, than they are football. It doesn't mean we're not going to make a lot of money in basketball. We are making money in basketball. We're up over 35 games this year. We normally make about 50 games, actually about 30 games up right now. You go look at the results. When you look at the results tab, you'll see that every one of our segments, we make 8 to 10 games of profit, with the exception of the one we're in right now. Right now,
Right.
we're down a little bit in basketball over the last, since the Super Bowl, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That will change. That will turn. We'll make that back, and then some will get back on track. We're still up about 30 games in hoops. It's not like we're losing money in hoops. We're just having a bad run, primarily based on bad luck, some bad plays too. I mean, I'm trying to be held accountable for when I throw out some clunkers, which there have been a few, but one was just, we had a loss the other night. It's like we're finding new and amazing ways to lose on some of these basketball games.
Down 2 after giving up a pair of free throws, and then you just throw away the inbound
with
pass.
1 second.
All you had to do was literally inbound the ball.
Inbound the ball.
Maybe take a shot at a game winner, and you just
give
throw it off into the abyss.
And then they foul him. So you're not going to give him the ball, then you're going to foul. This is 1.2. We're talking about Utah versus Central Florida. It was on Sunday. And those type things are laughable, because it's a long – when you're up as much as I'm up and up as much as we're up over the course of the year and my life, what are you going to do? I mean, you just laugh about it. But that day was either going to be 2-0 or 1-1 based on that. So those do matter. And if you're a short-term gambler with short-term memories, and I have a couple that are just the biggest losers in the world, that every time I have a losing day, they feel like it's important to say something about it. Like I'm not betting the games myself. Like I don't know exactly that we had a losing day. But that's just, there are losers out there, losers in the world that gamble, whatever. That's part of the business. So it's like opening a McDonald's and not expecting everybody to want their fries hot. I mean, you're going to have some people that are just going to need it super hot all the time. So
or get mad when they have to wait for hot fries.
Exactly. So I'm okay with it. I understand it, but all it does is tell me that you're a loser. You're a losing gambler, probably a loser in life. When you reach out and email somebody because Utah decided to, after tying it up, give away a layup with 3 seconds left, and then they throw it into the other team and then foul and they lose. That is just ridiculous. That it's bad.
It's somehow your fault, as if you should have known.
Exactly, and that's a 2-0 day back to 1-1. So very strange little run in basketball. But the great news is that soccer's more than made up for it. I mean, soccer's doing great, generating profit every day. And this time of year, I always try to talk big picture. If you're a gambler on sports, don't let anybody tell you that you should be hammering March or hammering February. All right, February is almost always, not just for me, but for guys that know what they're doing, a very difficult time, because you have these players that some of them are playing for something, some of them aren't. NBA, you've got guys that are, they're playing back-to-backs, and they've been playing on a bum ankle for a month. You just get a lot of these things that you don't know about or can't determine before the game. And it does equate to shooting percentage and effort on defense and those type things. So February is almost always a little bit difficult. Great news is March is almost always very profitable, because you get 100% effort in the tournament. Everybody cares once you get there. And that's not just the NCAA tournament, but obviously conference tournaments too.
Mm-hmm.
We've been able to kind of decipher through who's going to quit, who's going to roll over, who's not. So better days are coming in hoops. Soccer's more than made up for it. Get signed up. FatJackSports.com. Sign up today. Less than about $99 a week for the longer packages. I've rolled back out the baseball free. As long as you sign up this month before we get into the tournaments for the packages through at least the NBA Finals or next year's Super Bowl, you're going to get baseball through that point for free, as long as you sign up before we get into conference tournaments. So you got a little bit of time.
So regardless of which package you're signed up for, as long as it is a football and or basketball package, you will get free baseball for the length of that package.
For that package, exactly. And we will have somebody inevitably that will reach out. They'll sign up.
I signed up for basketball this weekend. I didn't get any baseball plays.
Well, and we'll have them sign up through the NBA Finals and then get mad when their baseball stops in
June, right?
In June instead of going through You're not getting a free baseball season. What are you doing? I mean, we make 50 games of profit in baseball for free. I'm not giving those for free after your package expires. Don't be an idiot. You're just telling us you're an idiot. Please don't do that. All right, get signed up for a longer package. Pay a lot less. Soccer, we're going to expand the leagues, I guess. English Premier's been primarily what we've been doing, making money every single week. Well, as English Premier starts winding down, they go into other leagues. So we're going to have a lot of soccer as we go through the spring, into the summer, into the fall all year. Soccer's apparently an all year round sport because that's what they do in soccer, right, Brandon? You know a
Yeah,
little bit.
there's very little off season when it comes to like major soccer. The big 5 European leagues generally end in May. They take maybe June off, and then July they start doing training camps for the August season to start.
So we're going to be a part of all that. So get those longer packages, save you a bunch of money, less than $50 a week or less, actually about $30 a week when you sign up through next year's Super Bowl. So I got a few things I want to talk about. None of these are funny. They just all have some information that I thought was interesting. So one of them is a little interesting. Let's start on this. So John Rocker.
Who, by the way, I did not know was still with us. I honestly forgot that dude existed until this incident.
Now John Rocker, besides the baseball player, you know that John Rocker is the inspiration / player that Kenny Powers is built off of.
I thought it was Jim Traber, but yes.
It feels like Jim's not racist. Some of the things that Kenny Powers
the aesthetics of Kenny Powers were peak Jim Traber in John Rocker's brain.
And the highs and the lows of, by the way, those of you around the country, Jim Traber played baseball for the Baltimore Orioles, one of my best friends in the world. Football and baseball star at Oklahoma State University. What a great radio host in the Midwest. Great guy. One of my very, very good friends. Looked like Kenny Powers did when Kenny Powers was, and frankly, from an ego standpoint, probably not far off back in the day, too. So there are some similarities, but not the racist, not all of the really, really bad.
The really awful things.
Those are John Rocker. They were built on John Rocker. I did not know this until I got knee deep in that series, started investigating where they get this dude. Is he made? No, he's not made up. John Rocker. So when John Rocker goes on Twitter, I gotta give him a follow. So I'm getting all of John Rocker. This has been, I don't know, a year or so ago. It said now John Rocker's been doing nothing but saying sexist, racist, and very MAGA, like lean over the further you could get toward, like Trump on crack. The guy that just got mad at the leader of the Proud Boys. That's John Rocker's views. Leader of the Proud Boys, John Rocker, same thing.
Right.
Anyway, he's in New Orleans. Patrick Mahomes Sr., who played baseball against
Super Bowl weekend. Yep.
Super Bowl weekend, played baseball against John Rocker. They apparently don't like each other. Can't imagine why. I mean, Patrick Mahomes Sr., African-American dude, played baseball against John Rocker, who's clearly one of the biggest racists on the planet. I see how they may not get along. Well, they apparently run into each other. There's a little skirmish, little talking, and then they're going to fight on Rough and Rowdy, which is Barstool's basically
bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, you want to beat the crap out of somebody, come to us, which was my idea, by the way. I was going to fight midgets back in the day. I came up with this so many years ago. They stole my idea. I tell you what, they've done every good idea I've ever had like that. Barstool's. I'm pretty sure that Dave Portnoy and I share the same brain on a lot of this stuff. So
on some things, absolutely.
So anyway, he is. They were going to fight. Well, now they're not going to fight. So you're familiar with this? What do you think about all this, Brandon?
When I saw the initial dust up between Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker, I was very shocked, again, as I stated, to know that John Rocker was still with us. That man is the antithesis of steroid rage mixed with just adequate white dude who is just mad at the world. And it was like, obviously I kind of forgot that like they were both baseball players. I don't think they ever played together. But even if they did, it's just a weird deal. So the fact that they were like having to like be held back from each other in a on Bourbon Street was pretty on brand for both of them, honestly. The fact that they were going to fight each other, at least part of me is glad that they didn't throw down in the alley, but that they actually were like, hey, you know what, let's make money off this deal. Because you could fight in the alley, no one wins. But now that it's off, I'm actually a little disappointed.
The problem becomes, and of course, bigger, stronger guys have lost in fights before, but I'm afraid John Rocker would be about an 8-1 favorite. I mean, he does.
He's a much larger dude,
larger
than
on
Pat
steroids. Probably been in a fight or two.
He probably fought somebody today.
Yeah, exactly. Mahomes seems like a guy that's drinking too much, obviously making some mistakes. Now, wasn't he in prison for a while?
I don't know about that, but I do know he had, I believe, allegedly had a drunk driving incident not too long ago.
All right, so he's not an 8-1 underdog if he's spent some time in prison. So he'll go
Even
down.
what if it was the county?
Though that's going to still make you an underdog. They will separate you and put you in independent there if you're if you're
Yeah, you're not in
famous or
Gen Pop.
whatever. So
Yeah.
you're not going to be a general pop. But he's actually been in prison. He's definitely not 8-1. Those guys. The thing about fighting, if you know how to fight, you're a fighter. You trump big and strong.
Sure.
And so I don't know
Yeah.
what Mahomes. Anyway, I just thought it was a very interesting story that these guys are figuring out a way to be so toxic they're going to fight each other or whatever. Now they're not going to fight, which probably makes a lot of sense. I think there's only going to be losers in that fight. Was the problem?
Mm-hmm.
The only winner was going to be Dave Portnoy and Rough and Rowdy. So, FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. $99 a week or so. We've got soccer going this week. Got basketball going this week. The conference tournament's around the corner. Baseball's coming. Everything is very inexpensive when you sign up now and get on board. Want to talk about football a little bit, Brandon?
Yes.
So
it is a combine starting this week, so the NFL schedule release coming. So it's one of those things that's on the back burner, but always kind of present.
Well, and kind of point out why it's so difficult for the normal guys to make money. Because the work that I'm having to put, I've adjusted my schedule for the new year. I normally, for the last 20 years or so, 25 years, I've done the same thing. So now's a little bit of a dip. I'm doing just basketball, primarily college basketball, some NBA. That goes through March Madness. Once we get into March Madness, I focus entirely on NBA and see who got drafted where, those type of things. But it's really not a big deep dive into football because there's still a lot of turnover. There's a lot of changes and stuff. And we really don't know with the new pieces what college basketball or college football is going to look like.
Yeah, you don't know that until kids actually show up on campus in August to show up.
So now it's become even a bigger deal. And I'll tell you why. This kind of illustrates, and I've moved my schedule up. So starting in June, this is where my mind will be. June's normally like a take a deep breath. June into the first part of July, and then first part of July really get ramped up for football. But I'm going to start about 3 weeks early because of all the turnover in college football. So if you're out there and you're thinking, hey, I can make money, I did okay last year. You did okay last year because last year was the 1 year in 26 years where the general public did well betting on football. That's why you did well, if you did well last year. If you didn't do well last year, but you had done well for 23 or 24 years prior to that, then maybe you're okay. You should probably not sign up. Just listen for entertainment value. If I give you any at all, which we might not. Hard to say. But if you won last year, your problems are not solved. You just had that 1 year. If it goes like that for the next 20 years, then Vegas won't offer sports betting. Or they'll offer less of it with lower limits. 39 teams in college football out of 136 teams returned their head coach, their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, and their quarterback.
30. So what, 25%? Not even 25%?
So 25%. So let's just think about football as a whole. You have to start and figure out the power ranking, the pros, the cons, who's doing what, who's doing. All of that is changed. There's only, and we're not talking about transfers in general, which even these 39 teams have a number of new players.
Yeah, absolutely.
At a number of important positions, some of them arguably more important than quarterback or defensive coordinator, whatever. But if you're talking about consistency and stability in college football, 39 out of 136 teams, only that many, as of right now, bring back their head coach, offensive, defensive coordinator, and their quarterback. A few of those, Arizona State, BYU, Illinois, Iowa State, LSU, SMU, Tennessee, for you Vols fans, Texas A&M, and USC. Those are a few of the big ones that right now have kept everybody. What do those schools have in common? Nothing. Some of them are culture-driven. Some of them they underachieved. Because you get, like in the case of USC or Texas A&M, if they had overachieved or done well, you would lose a coordinator. You would lose your head. Somebody would move on. There are a few culture programs in there. Iowa State, certainly a culture program. BYU is a culture program. SMU's kind of an outlier in that whole thing, I think.
It feels like SMU and Arizona State are kind of the outliers in that group in terms of culture versus progression.
Well, in Arizona State, if you think about them, they have a very young staff. That coach is very young. They made it all the way to the to Big 12 finals and all that kind of stuff. So this is won the Big 12. So this is a team that they feel like, hey, let's build on that. We can bring in a few. So that one makes sense. But the rest of these teams we're talking about in college football alone, they have to go through all of this. Even if you know how to handicap, just starting from that point where you have to go back and learn all of these players and all these teams. I'm not sure you have enough time to do that. Another kind of interesting stat, college football teams with the most new players, true freshmen and transfers.
Last year, I know who it's not.
Who's that?
It's not Clemson.
Not Clemson, no. He is not very. Some of these teams that are in college football have 50 new players.
Good. That's. I mean, when you have 85 scholarship players, and roster limits are kind of weird now because the NCAA is just the Wild West. That's legitimately half of your roster that was not there in December.
Huge turnover. The number one team, which makes sense if you followed the stories, Marshall. Marshall had lost their coach. He didn't get hired. They lose. Everybody walks out. They don't even play in a bowl game because of it.
Yep.
61 players of their.
Lord.
It's a new team. So if you hear somebody tell you they know how good Marshall's going to be this year right now, they are just full of crap.
Even if they sell you that in August or September, I would say know. You don't know.
Listen, I'm going to spend a little bit of time in West Virginia. If there's anyone
on purpose,
to go watch West Virginia, who has 59 new scholarship players, and Marshall at their spring game, if they have a spring game coming up. I'm going to figure out a way to get ahead of these because some of these teams are going to be good. Washington State, Utah State has 55 new ones. Arizona 53, UTEP 52, Mississippi State 51, UNLV with their turnover from the middle of last year, new coach there now, obviously, 51 new players.
Wow.
So these are teams that people are going to be betting on in September that they literally are just throwing a dart. They don't know anything. Some of these teams, it doesn't mean they're going to be bad or good. That's the problem, Brandon, is you don't know. Some of these teams are going to they're going to pick right.
Well, and you look back at Colorado when Deion Sanders came in. They brought in, I think, 60.
Yeah, SMU a couple years before that when they make the tournament.
And they were awful in their first year.
Or TCU, not SMU, TCU. Sorry.
Yeah. After the national championship game appearance. Just because you bring in an influx of people doesn't mean you're initially going to be good because there's going to be hits, there's going to be misses, there's going to be culture shifts, there's going to be adaptations to learning new offenses and learning new defenses and schemes that sometimes takes time. That takes reps. You may not get those immediately. So yeah, just because you're bringing in new people does not mean you're primed for the spotlight.
The good news is I'm betting enough money on these games. That's all I'm going to be doing is figuring out between now, and this is not something that starts in July or August when everybody else is thinking about football. This is something that happens now. I'm going to spend some time in some of these cities. I'm going to figure out if there's open practices. I'm going to go find my way to figure out because there's, who else doesn't know what these teams are doing? The line setters.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea. The guys at the Wynn and the Caesars and MGM and FanDuel and Draft, they have no clue how good these teams are going to be. But you know what, Brandon? They're going to have lines out for the first 4 or 5 games.
There's odds right now that you can bet on just for national championship.
So all I have to do is take advantage of what the sports books, and I've done this over the last 10 years or so. We've made so much more money with props, with the prop bets, and being able to take advantage of those props. And that's basically been the sports books rush to offer more options and more opportunities for people to bet, and then me figuring out a way to take advantage of that, and make money for my clients and myself. And so I'm going to do that, but that has shifted a little bit. It's going to require a little more work, but I don't care. That's all I do. And frankly, I see it as a challenge. After last year, which was we won money in football, not much, but a little bit, but one of our worst years I've had in 30 years of doing this. Having a lot to do with the line setters, having a lot to do, frankly, with them not knowing. The line setters just putting out numbers and the general public filing in. They should have made a lot of those numbers even higher, got more public money on the wrong team and taken advantage of it. And they will do that this year. That will be corrected this year for sure. So we're going to be okay with the teams. But early in the year, when nobody knows anything, if I'm able to, I promise you there's nobody setting the lines at FanDuel that's going to be in West Virginia or going to be at Mississippi State or going to be at some of these places and figuring out how's their offensive line look. The defensive line that moved in, how they look. Are they gelling early in practice? What's going on these schools? That's what I'm going to be doing. We're going to make a lot of money early this year in football. Get signed up today. You're going to save a bunch of money. Just to put a cap on that, and then we're going to take a break. Come back, talk basketball. Average number of returning starters in college football per team since 2015. So go back to 2015, about when all this mayhem started or thought about starting. The average number of returning starters was 13 to 14 starters. So that's half offense, half defense,
Mhm,
basically. You're
mhm.
going to return your starters. This year, early estimate's 9. So you're returning 4 or 5 on each side of the ball. Now, everybody else is new, and that's across the board. That's OU, OSU, Tennessee, Texas, everybody across the board. You're returning 8 or 9 total. 4 on offense. That means you're going to have 7 new offensive players on day one, 7 new defensive players. Hard to predict that unless you know what you're looking for, and have the time to go do that. And I'm making it a personal challenge of mine to figure that out early.
Odds are, if you're bringing in 7 new players on say an offense, guess where a majority of those play? Offensive line.
You know it.
Just by the numbers alone.
You're going to have
That's
some
silly.
NIL guys that are going to come in making way more than they should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got the jackass quarterback Carson. Carson Banks?
Oh, the kid that went to Miami, and then him and his girlfriend's cars got stolen.
Yeah, basically they. So stupid. The car's over the fence. He opens the car up. The garage door's in the car. The Range Rover flipped the. Like I said, we're in West Palm all the time, including when this happened. And the idiot that stole him, he's not in this big ring. You know, you see the gangs from Central America
that robbed Joe Burrow's place and then took photos of themselves with his jewelry in his house.
Joe Burrows and Patrick Mahomes, a bunch of them. That it was this syndicated, organized crime ring that then were moving the stuff to New York, to the jewelry district to get rid of things. And they all got busted. That's not what this was. In Miami, some 20-year-old jackass that just jumped the fence. He weighs 400 pounds. I don't know how he got over the fence. I think he probably crowbarred. Running start, maybe went through it. I can't prove it. I just know he went over.
Kool-Aid man his way through the fence.
He broke in, opened the Range Rover. The garage door is open. In there. Beck and his girlfriend are sleeping in the house. And by the way, this house is like a $15 million house. It's a huge man. Who's doing well right now? Who chooses not to go to the NFL because he might have dropped a few spots? Transfers to Miami, moves into a 8,000 square foot house
with his college basketball playing / Instagram influencing girlfriend,
smoke show girlfriend. I mean, the world has changed, and if you're not up with that, you're not going to make money, especially the first of football season, betting on the games. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm figuring out how to take advantage of the chaos and the mayhem that is college football right now. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up, get a package, get a longer package, get baseball for free, build profit through the spring and the summer. Even if you don't play every day, you don't have to because you're not paying for it. Same thing with basketball right now. We go through a bad stretch. Guys that sign up for the season are not paying for basketball right now. They're actually paying $0. So if we go through a bad stretch and they're a $100 game player, go to $20. I'm betting thousands of dollars per game, so I'm not throwing out 15 games to try to make it all up tomorrow. I don't make up crap. I'm not trying to make up anything. I'm trying to tide the boat, start building profit, up. That's my only objective. So when you sign up, that's what you're getting, not somebody that's desperate or needs to win. I don't need to win. I've been winning for 30 years now. So I'm just tiding the boat, turning the tide so that we can start building profit, get through some of these horribly ridiculous bad beats that we've taken over the last couple of weeks or so, and then get back on track, which will happen most likely by the time this show runs this week. So,
hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week, get free winners, and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history is made.
If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun.
When gambling becomes a problem,
visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host springing into March. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2 into March. Thank goodness. I know a lot of you around the country are not a moment too soon, right? I mean, it has been cold. It's been icy, snowy. We spring forward next weekend.
Next Sunday, yeah, it's coming quick, and then we will be an hour ahead until the Sunday after Halloween,
which will be fun. We're going to be so far into profit by then, I won't even care. What's great right now, yeah, my wife's birthday is next Sunday, so kind of a daily double. Karen turned.
But that means that her birthday is an hour less, so you got to sneak in an hour somewhere else to celebrate her birthday. That is being robbed of her on that day.
I normally am good for about 54 minutes, a birthday celebration. So I think I can. I'll be okay. I'll find a good 54 minutes. Fat Jack Sports Hour. When you get our age, I hate to being that age, but she turns 54. 54. And I turned 55 the 26th of March. March is a busy month for birthdays. I did do that. I don't know how much TikTok you're on, but I did they had that facial recognition app thing.
I saw Karen post hers on Instagram. Yeah.
I posted mine on TikTok, and I think the app's broke because although a lot of people were showing older, mine showed like 37 or something. So
I mean, you look a lot younger than you used to.
With I guess normally fat makes you look younger, but yeah, I have kind of my face is tightened up a little bit. My stomach is not. I look like I have a Shar-Pei attached to my belly. I mean, it's just who I am. So I'm not going to be a bikini model anytime soon. Fat Jack Sports Hour. Get signed up. FatJackSports.com. Another interesting question I wanted to ask you, Brandon.
Yes.
So last week, Florida Atlantic University was playing Wichita State, and they had Seinfeld night. And guess who was there?
I saw something about this.
Kramer.
Was it Kramer?
Kramer was there signing autographs, taking, photos with people, those type of things. So my question to you is,
okay,
I almost went. And the only reason I didn't is we got busy doing something else and it ran too late. And the game started 8:15. And by the way, Wichita State smoked them. But
perfect opportunity.
Does it make me a racist that I wanted to go see Kramer? Where's Kramer fall in the, I think if you're a huge fan of John Rocker, it tells me a lot about who you are.
1,000%.
I just think I know a lot about it. I don't need to know much more, actually. If you're John Rocker's best friend, all those things you see online where it says, you are who your group is, you are your surrounding.
You are who
you're running with John Rocker. I think I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm dealing with.
Trash human, sure.
If I want to go see Kramer, is there a statute of limitations on what he did? Where is that? I mean, what? Because I did. It's a little bit like I told you I went to Germany. I'm watching the Antique Roadshow, and I'm pretty sure they stole some stuff during the Holocaust from some of those people.
Everything on there, yes.
And
this has been with my family since the 40s. It's like, yeah, we kind of know.
That is not something to brag about. Yeah, because it probably wasn't. It was probably Helen Keller's or Anne Frank's or whoever. Seinfeld. Where does that stand? If I want to go, not just I watch Seinfeld on TV because I think a lot of people do, but if I want to go, what does that say about me?
I mean, incident for which I'm loosely terming was in 2006.
It was cringeworthy for sure. For those you don't know, go back and Google it. It will refresh your memory quickly on what Michael Richards did and why all of a sudden he went from being one of the funniest guys on the planet to just a ghost. I mean, he was out of everything, and rightfully so. I mean, although we've had people, I think that was probably a mutual thing. I should have gone and asked him questions. I should have been that guy. Were you run out of town or what happened there? Because I obviously a huge mistake. I think he'd say it was, I don't know, man, maybe he's just a huge rage. I don't know is the thing. That's why I was a little bit uncomfortable because he's never really said, or maybe he has and I just didn't hear it. But those you don't know, he was in a comedy club during the peak or at the end of kind of his run on Seinfeld, being really what I thought was the funniest person on that show consistently. He was in a comedy club. Guys started heckling him. He was an African-American dude, and Michael Richards' comeback was using the N-word a number of times at the guy directly. And somebody videotaped it, put it online, and Michael Richards' career was over.
Right. He hasn't done much of anything since then.
So, I don't know. I just thought I didn't go. I think the two people that, and these are different because Paula Dean got the biggest crap job, rook job of anybody who's kind of in that umbrella of this person have to be a Paula Dean did not even use the N-word. She said
she admitted to saying it decades ago.
She was on trial. One of her people were on trial. She went as a witness. They asked her, "Have you ever used the N-word?" She said yes, and all of a sudden her career was over.
Right.
I mean, I use it. In fact, Paula Dean is one of the more philanthropic people I've ever met. Everybody on her staff raves about her. 60% of those people were African Americans. She literally pays for them and their family. One of the more generous people toward the people around her that I've met, including a ton of African Americans. Everybody we worked for was like, "What in the world? We're doing what?" And now her career was over. So I think she got a rook job. Michael Richards absolutely deserved something short term. I'm just trying to figure out whether I should have felt bad for going to his basketball game. I guess Florida Atlantic University doesn't seem to care.
Right. If they had enough to have a theme night and bring him in. I mean, it's been 20 years. We all make mistakes. Statute of limitations probably worn off, but you go with a little bit of a hesitant approach to just be like, we'll put a bubble around this just to make sure nothing else pops off.
Don't go run around with him. That's probably what we're saying. So
yeah, probably don't hang out with him just in case.
I don't have time to do that. I'm going to be spending my spring in West Virginia. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up. Start winning today. NBA against the spread numbers to this point, Brandon. You know what? The theme here is the best against the spread right now: Cleveland, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Toronto. Oklahoma City 33, 20, and 4 against the spread. That's a 62.3 cover rate. We talk about them being so dominant against the spread, but you're seeing that backing up a little bit. They were number one before the All-Star break, or number 2, 1 or 2. Now they're down to 3. Cleveland is still covering at 61% of the time. Toronto's next, Portland's next. So these are the teams you can make money with to this point in the season, betting. And we're going to look at this later on in the year to see if these even out, because they will. You got to figure out when. They're not going to go 0 for 10 against the spread, but they are going to be they're going to not cover more times than not. Lakers 6 games over. Charlotte 5 games over. You're not making money with that. Like if you bet
you
that,
just blindly bet them every game, you're not turning a profit.
I mean, you're turning, what is that? It's going to be, if you're laying 110, which is not a given with some of the sports books out there, depending on what the line movement does. But if you're laying 110, you're making 2.5 units of profit if you're betting on teams like Charlotte or the Lakers or Brooklyn or Houston, those type teams. You get out of the teams not doing well against the spread. Phoenix is the worst, 19 and 37 and 1 against the spread right now, 33% cover rate. Philadelphia, so all that Eagles money, giving that back with the Sixers if you're not careful.
What's great though is Philly fans are at least smart enough to realize that their basketball team is crap, and they will tell them.
They love to hate, yeah.
Oh boy,
that probably helps from a gambling standpoint also. Unlike like the Chicago Bears fans. I mean, Bears fans and Chicago's bad in basketball against the spread too. 25 and 30 against the spread, so 5 games under. Bears fans are blindly optimistic about this year.
Every year.
Broncos fans blindly optimistic. They will line up, bet Chicago to win the Super Bowl, bet Denver to win the Super Bowl if they're in Chicago, if they're in Colorado. And they'll just donate that money, give them a season or sometimes a month-long sweat, depending on how bad the team actually is. And so, yeah, those. But Philly is different. Actually, New York fans are different also. They will turn on you. They'll be like, yeah, we stink again this year. Let's bet against them. So there might be some value in that. Philly fans that love the Eagles have turned around and bet against Philly every game. They're making a little bit of money. But I think that the lesson here is on the top and bottom, unless you're finding the absolute extremes. All right, so Sacramento is, if you bet anti-Sacramento every game, they're about 15 games over. If you'd bet against them, the Heat, same type of deal. They're up 10 games, so you make a little bit of money. That's extreme on the bottom if you anti the Heat every game. Cleveland on the top, you're making money there. So if you live in Ohio and you're betting on Cleveland every game, you're doing okay. But the lesson here is that in the NBA and really college basketball also, you can't line up and play the same team every night. It just normally doesn't work. I have heard of people making a lot of money. Oklahoma City Thunder playing the first quarter. That was a very profitable streak for a while earlier in the season. Expect these things to balance out as we go through. NBA, one of the hardest leagues in the world to make money at consistently. It's because the lines are so tight based on how much information they have. So just a couple little things with the NBA. FatJackSports.com. Brandon, what are you looking forward to the most in March? When does baseball starts? Is it the last week of March or first week of April? I think it's first week.
It's generally been the last sort of week in March, and the last couple of years they've started with a series like in Japan or Mexico or something like that. The actual Major League Baseball schedule, though, doesn't actually begin, I want to say, for everybody until like March 31st.
Yeah, I know they're doing a Tokyo series this year, which is coming up in about a month, actually. So it's going to be right about the time we're wrapping up March Madness, or not even then, before that. They're doing the Tokyo series. I know the Dodgers are going to be over there playing. Mm-hmm. There's a few teams that are going to be playing in that Tokyo series. So that'll be something. We'll start rolling out season win totals and futures and those type things sometime in the middle of March. So about the time you're knee deep in March Madness, expect, if you're on one of those packages and taking advantage of the opportunity to get baseball for free now, expect to get those season win totals that make money every year. Just a quick reminder, I don't handicap UFC, I don't handicap soccer, and I don't handicap baseball. Those are the things I don't do. I have different packages for all those. When we get to baseball season, you'll have to pay for baseball, and it's because I'm not handicapping it. So the good news is those guys have been with me for now almost 15 years. They've made money every single year that I've given their plays away or sold packages in baseball. They average about 50 games of profit, 50 games of profit per year. Those are free. You don't pay for those when you sign up now for football and/or combo package of any kind. Football, basketball, soccer, football, basketball. Players props, get those props now. Those made money 4 out of every 5 weeks last year. Any of those packages are going to get you the baseball season for free. You're going to pay less than about $100 a week for those longer packages. So a great time to do that, and it is free profit that will build you money in your bankroll before we get to football. That's why it's such a big deal. It's not that you're going to retire on the free baseball plays. It's just that you're going to have free money in your account, so that when we were able to hit the ground running, you're not going to look back, and that first week of September won't be a big deal. Guys that sign up the first week of September, winning the first week of September is a big deal for them.
It's pivotal because they don't have months of baseball profit, months of soccer profit to fall back on in case something doesn't go right in that first week.
It almost always does go right, so that's really but you're paying more to win the first week of September if you sign up in September versus signing up now. And it's hard to explain to guys the relax, just the vibe, the nature of winning in football season when you don't have to care, when it's not important that you dominate the first 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
When you've been winning for so long, it's okay. You're like, it's a fun week. It's great. I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm ready to build some money because Jack always wins in football. But it's not a make or break thing. Certainly not. I'm not signing up next week if he doesn't win, and I'm going to sign up next week if he does win. Those are the people that will lose money betting on sports. It's just, you are a loser if that's what you're doing. Listen, I'm still going to sign you up because most of the time we're going to win that first week of September. But if you're coming into that first week of September with I'm going to see how he does and I'll decide based on this 1 week, you're a losing gambler. You're not a winning sports gambler. You don't think about it as somebody that wants to win. The opposite of what the clients that have been with me for years and years, and frankly, guys that sign up today and go through the season, what they're going to be feeling. They won't think that for even a second because they'll be into profit. They will have built up. They would more than paid the service fee off for the entire year. Whereas if you don't sign up, the first thing you're doing is trying to pay off the service fee. Guys, it's so important to get signed up now. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today, and win this weekend.
Opening day of baseball across the entire league, March 27th. That is a Thursday. The Tokyo Series Dodgers Cubs opens on my wedding anniversary, March 18th.
My birthday's the 26th, so we will celebrate my birthday with 31 minutes of recognition. half about what I got to give my wife, and then we will turn our attention to dominating the baseball card on Thursday. So that's a great time of year. Great time to be a client, great time to be betting on sports, and great time to win. Get signed up today.
So, Jack, the TGL, which for those of you who don't know, is a golf league basically where Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy decided they know they can't play forever and be competitive, but maybe in this indoor simulator environment, they built this whole thing up. It's an intriguing watch, but it's even more intriguing gambling opportunity. Do you think this is just a gimmick? Do you think it has lasting power? And would you, as just a professional gambler, even entertain the idea of betting on some of these things that are being offered in TGL?
Yeah, so the first thing is it's sustainable from a watchability. I think that the numbers are kind of telling us it may not be. The ratings on this thing have been very good when Tiger has been on.
Which is pretty indicative of golf anymore.
Exactly. So he's going to have his fans that are going to be a staple whenever he's on. And when Rory was on, and the opener, the first week, they got pretty good ratings. But besides that, when you just put other PGA Tour players on this setting, which is really what we're talking about from a watchability, is the product. It's not the players. Obviously, if Tiger plays every week, they're going to do pretty well for a while. But it's, can you sustain something that's watchable with just good players that people don't care a lot about? I think no, A, and B, because most golfers have very little personality. And so even when you give them a platform to have more personality, which is what this is, more interaction.
They're mic'd up, and their cameras are closer than they are ever inside the ropes on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I had a math teacher that told me I was never going to amount to anything and be a big loser. And he was really probably the biggest dork loser I've ever met or been around.
Okay.
Even at the time, I identified this guy's a jackass. This guy literally is knitting in his mom's basement, not going out on Friday nights. I want to be nothing like him. I don't care what environment you put him in. He is not going to be entertaining.
Sure.
And I think that's probably what you're going to get overall with golfers. Not all golfers, but and some of them. I'd be more happy if they would take golfers that don't like each other. I think that has some sustainability in our culture right now. Some guys that just don't like each other, and then have them talk smack to each other.
The problem with that is the two guys who probably don't like each other the most, Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, are on Live, and they're not part of this deal. So that's a missed opportunity potentially.
They're all missed opportunities, because otherwise you got a bunch of boring white dudes playing other boring white dudes. They're mic'd up and nobody cares. I think that's probably the long-term effect of this thing. Bring over Koepka and DeChambeau, who by the way don't like each other either. I mean, those guys they're perfect for this type of stuff. And then let them go. Let's say some stuff that is probably going to hurt some people's feelings on this show, but long term we're going to forgive and forget. Like, make it a safe space.
Right. Yeah. Not a cancelable situation.
Yeah, and that's sustainable to me. But no, right now watching rich people simulate golf. If Tiger's there, I'll watch, I guess. But other than that, no, I don't think it is. And from a gambling standpoint, even less, because of the same thing we're talking about. It does kind of funnel down into, all right, you get A versus B, where golf tournaments are so hard because you're getting these matchups. A lot of times these guys aren't playing together.
Right.
You've got to do so much research to get there. So if there was nothing, this would be a July betting event for me. Something.
Sure.
I was wrapping
where there's literally, it's either baseball, the WNBA, or TGL.
Yeah, which I'm not handicapping baseball or the WNBA, and football. You only do so many hours a day, so I could put some time into that. But this is not something that will compete, I think, with any other major gambling sport. And I could be wrong, but we'll see. Into March. What's your least favorite month of the year?
Probably June, because there is not a ton of sports stuff going on, and it's just at that time where it's starting to get obnoxiously hot. Not super hot yet, but it's on the verge of just being annoying. So for me, that is hell.
I love hot. You know where's great in June? West Virginia. I'm gonna go back in June.
Having been to West Virginia twice, I'll pass.
It's not your area, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check out how they're making moonshine. I'm going to look at some old mining caves, and I'm going to find out whether Marshall and West Virginia's turnover in college football is going to help us this fall. I may get an Airbnb. I could probably rent an Airbnb in West Virginia for the entire month. We talked about April's their spring game, so April's the month. I think I'm going to go in April. I have friends that her daughter's getting married. They're Mormon. It's way too early, I think. But they're getting married anyway, and the rest of my wife's got to go out and help with that stuff. I think that's in April, so I think I'm going to go become a West Virginian in Tonian. It's probably not what it's called, but you know what I'm going to know by the time we're done is what we call ourselves. Because I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to some spring games. What do you think they eat at the spring games in West Virginia at Marshall? Vittles?
It's probably some. It would not shock me to find a tailgate with some squirrel.
Squirrel? I'd eat some squirrel.
Possum.
We put that on Instagram too. I mean, we'll put that up. Nobody will watch it. Even fewer will like it. But we may put it up. See what happens. So
get you a coonskin cap. Go learn how to make moonshine. I know you won't drink it, but learn how to make it, and then find out if West Virginia has any playmakers.
Stocking stuffers. Moonshine for everybody.
See, that's getting ahead of the curve. Like getting your holiday shopping done in June or in April in this case.
I'm working ahead. Yeah. So
nothing says love like moonshine from West Virginia.
Honestly, I think I've never been to West. Yeah, I actually have probably been through there because I've been to Pittsburgh. It's by Pittsburgh, right? Right.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh, Morgantown is not even an hour south of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've got a friend, actually a producer on the TV show that I do in the fall. He's from Pittsburgh, but went to West Virginia. He's like a huge fan.
Okay.
I can ask him. He's a normal dude too. So I mean,
a well-adjusted individual.
Yeah, well, he lives in
but
Vegas.
It's probably because he is not from West Virginia.
No, he's from Pittsburgh. So anyway, I'm going to go figure that out. Not just those teams. If you're a spring game and you happen to look over and see somebody that used to weigh 350 pounds or more, and now looks like he is totally out of place because he's not a fan of your team, you're going to know that I have made my way to your town because there's no reason not to make a lot of money. Washington State, Utah State, Arizona. I love Arizona. When is it? You need to Brandon, get me some of these spring games. I can fly over to Arizona. I have friends in Arizona. I can go play some golf over there and go figure out. And it's amazing what you'll learn from a spring game. UNLV, they're going to be open. Their new head coach has decided, all for one and one for all. So I can go to UNLV. That's nothing. That's a small flight. Go to Vegas. So,
Arizona spring game, April 19th.
I'm going to, you know what? It's going to be a traveling road show in April. So it's right after this show. We run this show through March. So after that, you're going to need to follow us. Go right now and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And if I can figure out how to do TikTok correctly, which I put so little effort into it, follow us there because I'm gonna go to some of these spring games and shoot some stuff. And frankly, figure it out because you'll learn a lot during the spring game. You can't fake bad offensive line play, and although they'll get a little better over the summer and the spring, that's mainly what I look. People say, "What do you look for?" That's what I look for. I'm okay. The execution at receiver versus quarterback and the timing, all that, they can work that out. You can't put a lot into that. Really, really hard to fake good offensive line play. So I will start there, figure out who does not have a good offensive line, and then I'll go further down the lineup, and we'll figure out how to take advantage of that. So some of these teams are going to be good, and some of them are not. And the key is figuring it out early before the line setters figure it out. Do the work they're not willing to do. So when they're taking off, I'm going to West Virginia. So FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. And you're right. There might be bonus moonshine going out the door on top of that. I may private label moonshine. Is that a thing? Do people drink moonshine, Brandon?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I mean, I know they do in West Virginia. I just always put it one step above paint sniffing.
It's meth. It's meth, paint sniffing, moonshine.
Yeah, so I mean,
and then up from that is like Rumpelman's Everclear.
You don't put moonshine with cranberry juice and call it something like a.
I mean, there's apple pie moonshine, which is like
Cod on
cinnamon
crack.
and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what to. I'll figure it out when I get there. Maybe there's a squirrel jerky or something. We could get squirrel.
Oh, they're guarantee there's squirrel jerky.
Yeah, or possum jerky, something like that. So I'm going to figure it out. And follow us on Instagram and all that kind of
At
stuff.
Fat Jack Sports, all the socials.
Yeah, which I'm sure you guys won't. But if you do, we may put up some stuff that'll be funny. So FatJackSports.com. What are you looking forward to this weekend, Brandon? We've got what's wrong with Kansas, by the way? Is it, a lot of people who are haters will say, well, Kansas has been paying basketball players for the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah, it's like how the SEC was. Now that everybody's paying their players, the talent's been dispersed. I go another route. Bill Self's toupee looks really, really good right now.
His toupee.
So maybe they shifted the money towards hair treatments and not towards players.
He's a self-care guy for sure.
Yeah.
He likes to take care of himself. I think they probably have just missed. The great thing about basketball, though, if you know what you're doing, you can turn that around quickly. You can't in one year. And definitely the Big 12 has become more balanced. I mean, Houston coming in changed things up because it's not just Houston and Kansas. I'm telling you, the Mormons are crafty. I mean, they are sneaky good. Those days off where you would get a bad team, when I don't know, when Texas or TCU wasn't any good or somebody like that was, and you'd be able to get a night off. Those are fewer and far between now that these conferences have expanded. The travel's more.
Well, in Arizona and Texas Tech have improved. I mean, that conference is a deep, deep conference now.
Yeah, and Oklahoma, I'm sure, is not wishing, but they're probably rethinking what this whole SEC move. Better days need to be ahead. Because this has not been, frankly, the entire state of Oklahoma, athletically speaking, this has been as bad as I can remember.
Collegiately, at least.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oklahoma, the Thunder.
The Thunder are doing great.
More than make up for it. But this has been as bad collectively of an Oklahoma year athletically. Now, we'll see. Softball's still coming around the corner. People have really decided to care about that. And baseball looks better, I guess. We just started that. But overall, for football and basketball, there have not been a lot to cheer about if you're a Sooner or Cowboy fan. So, and I don't think it's a mistake that it's a learning curve, Brandon. Things have changed.
Yep.
And I'm changing with them on some of our stuff. We will take advantage of that because that's literally all I'm doing. Go to FatJackSports.com. This year's going to be a huge, huge year. Get signed up. It's less than $100 a week for the longer package. You can get the weekend package. Soccer ran earlier in the week, so if you're catching this on Monday or actually Tuesday, you can still get a couple. I've been told they may release some other leagues over the course of the weekend, but 4-2 last week in soccer, 6-1 the week before that. I mean, just almost no losing weeks, 3 since June. Basketball going to get super hot as we head into March, and by gosh, we're there. So get signed up through March Madness. That will get you into profit. Or longer, you're going to get the baseball season for free if you go through the NBA Finals or through next year's Super Bowl. And add those other packages now to save a ton of money. Any final thoughts, Brandon?
Some big-time college basketball matchups this weekend. Alabama, Tennessee, a top 10 matchup. Also, A&M, Florida is going to be a good one. Sunday brings us Wisconsin, Michigan State. And Sunday, Nuggets, Celtics. So a potential NBA Finals preview, maybe. So definitely some appointment watching to watch this weekend on the hardcore.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting because you're getting great matchups every weekend, and most of the time that has proven to be real profitable for my clients and I. Saturdays we've averaged 4-1 literally over the last 3 months. Now this last week we went 2-3, but we didn't even talk about that, Brandon. The bad beat we got with Auburn. That literally the total was one.
Oh gosh.
What was it? 160 or one? It's like 150 or 149. It was 149 or 150 somewhere in there. They had 49 points at halftime and scored 102 to go over by 2 in the second half to turn a small winning day to small losing day. And then we turn around Sunday, go 1-1 instead of 2-0 with that bad beat on the Utah game. So
that's rough.
Really turned what would have been a pretty nice weekend into something that was just around a push. So, guys, don't drink and drive. Wager responsibly. Have a great weekend. Get signed up at FatJackSports.com. And until next week, for Brandon and the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.